We believe that the best contribution we can make in the international struggle against global imperialism is to rid our country of imperialist domination. And we believe that we are all global citizens, especially in Africa, where borders were created from colonial conquest and divisions created in the Berlin Conference of 1884. Any effort to fight against imperialism, the calls for de-dollarization and for an alliance that will place BRICS nations on a stronger footing in the globe will always be undermined by a cowardly government in South Africa. South Africa is at the current stage led by an individual who cannot take a firm position on any matter, even if his life depends on it. Because what South Africa did to President Putin, it's a serious humiliation of a sitting president. You should know that the EFF is a Marxist, Leninist, and Fanonian organization, meaning we subscribe to the ideological and theoretical framework of these scholars and revolutionaries in terms of how we seek to forge a revolution and govern our society. We are an internationalist, radical, militant, and non-sexist and a Pan-Africanist organization, and we operate under the principle of socialism. The EFF is a leftist, anti-capitalist, anti-imperialist movement with an internationalist outlook anchored by popular grassroots formation and struggles. The EFF is the vanguard of community and worker struggles and will always be on the side of the people. As an organization, we take lessons from the notation that political power without economic emancipation is meaningless. As a result, this movement is inspired by ideals that promote the practice of organic forms of political leadership, which appreciate that political leadership at whatever level is service, not an opportunity for self-enrichment and self-gratification. As we already mentioned, we draw inspirations from the broad Marxist-Leninist traditions and Fanonian schools of thought in their analysis of the state, imperialism, culture, and class contradictions in every society. EFF is a South Africa's movement with a progressive internationalist outlook which seeks to engage with global progressive movements. We believe that the best contribution we can make in the international struggle against global imperialism is to rid our country of imperialist domination. For the South African struggle, the EFF pillars for economic emancipation are the following: expropriation of South Africa's land without compensation for equal redistribution in use, nationalization of mines, banks, and other strategic sectors of the economy without compensation, building state and government capacity which will lead to the abolishment of tender system, free quality education, healthcare, houses, and sanitation, massive protected industrial development to create millions of sustainable jobs, including the introduction of minimum wage in order to close the wage gap between the rich and the poor, close the apartheid wage gap, and promote rapid career path for Africans in the workplace. Massive developments for the African economy and advocating for a move from reconciliation to justice in the entire continent. Open, accountable, corrupt-free government and society without fear of victimization by the state agencies. Over and above pillars, the EFF commits to further pillars to complement the 7. They are equally important pillars and are presented here not in order of importance and vitality, but the recognition that they are equally important. We believe in decentralized spatial development and building new cities, public representatives using public services, reduction of benefits for public representatives, progressive internationalism, the development of sports, arts, and culture, progressive views on the gender and sexuality question, meaning acceptance of different forms of gender and sexual expressions, considering the rise of right-wing politics, which form the basis of electoral opportunism all around the world and now in South Africa. The EFF has a progressive view on the immigration question, and we believe that we are all global citizens, especially in Africa, where borders were created from colonial conquest and divisions created in the Berlin Conference of 1884. As the EFF, we believe in monetary and fiscal stability, which is anchored on industrialization and deliberate state intervention in the economy, As many of you may know, South Africa is in the depth of an energy crisis, so one of the complementary pillars include prioritizing of energy, security, and the environment. We must take this opportunity here today to inform the international community that we are not party to the agreement made at the COP27, where the South African government conceded to an experimental exercise known as a just transition, which will result in the abandoning of a coal as an energy source in South Africa and the closure of our coal power stations. Additionally, in terms of complementary pillars, the EFF believes on a need for a keen focus on the development of science and technology as an anchor of development in Africa. We believe that there must be support given to research, innovation, and enterprise development. Understanding that South African special planning is rooted in colonial pacts and the sharing of our land by our conquerors, we believe in making one city the administration and legislative capital of South Africa. As things stand, our country's legislative capital sits in the city of Cape Town, while our administrative capital sits in this city of Tshwane because of colonial pact between the African colonialists and British settlers colonialists. This must be reversed. Finally, we believe in the transformation of the criminal justice system, that our correctional centers must be rehabilitated instead of creating worse hardened criminals. We must speak about the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. It must be understood that as the EFF, we believe that the conflict between these two nations must be resolved, and it must be resolved peacefully. We want to make it categorically clear, however, that we believe the conflict arises because of NATO's uncontrollable desire to infringe on the territorial integrity of Russia by setting up military capacity on its borders. That is the genesis of the conflict. It is the breaking of treaties that were adopted during the fall of the Soviet Union, and that must be condemned as much as we may condemn the war itself. We have noted the communication from Cyril Ramaphosa's office that Russia President Vladimir Putin will not attend the next month's BRICS summit in South Africa. It is our understanding that President Putin's withdrawal is a consequence of South Africa state's reluctance to be firm on international affairs and their inability to resist pressure from NATO to arrest President Putin. South Africa is at the current stage led by an individual who cannot take a firm position on any matter, even if his life depends on it. We therefore want to caution all nations represented here today, especially members of BRICS, that South Africa is currently led by a spineless government that will never meaningfully take forward efforts to grow the strength of the global South and its allies. Any effort to fight against imperialism, the calls for de-dollarization, and for an alliance that will place BRICS nations on a stronger footing in the globe will always be undermined by a cowardly government in South Africa. Members of international community, we hope that countries such as China and India will, in solidarity with President Putin, not allow their presidents to attend the BRICS summit. Because what South Africa did to President Putin, it's a serious humiliation of a sitting president.
There you have it, guys. Julius Malema is usually full of these revolutionary speeches. Sometimes you wonder where he gets them from. But whatever the case is, we really hope that his wisdom transcends, and really contributes to the development of Africa and in helping solving Africa's really myriad of challenges. But what do you guys think about his speech? Share your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please share and like and subscribe, because that's the way you support Kwazemi as a channel, an Afrocentric channel, where we try to understand deeper issues in African history and hopefully develop a collective intelligence on how we wish to build the Africa we want to see as people of Africa. See you in the next one.